Beautiful, really beautiful. I want this chop packed with flavor. Welcome back to Next Level Kitchen, where the mentors of Next Level Chef are giving you tips, tricks, and amazing, delicious recipes to cook at home. And today, guess what? I'm up for a big challenge because, remember, I asked you, my amazing subscribers, to choose a protein that you'd like to see me cook. And guess what? I think the platform is moving. Now, what did you choose for me? It is... Oh my goodness, an amazing rack of pork. Thank you. Look at this. Inexpensive, an absolute staple in the Ramsay household growing up, but more importantly, something easy to cook and really delicious. Now, take one amazing pork chop. First off, before we start seasoning it, I just like to cut just little strands of this little back strap. And what that does, it helps to render the fat down and it gets really nice and crispy. And as it cooks, it's like these sort of little pork scratchings. Let's season the tray. Start off with some salt and some pepper, okay? And in order to get those flavors in there, a little touch of olive oil. Pork is very dry, so we just do a little teaspoon of olive oil onto the tray. You'll see why in a moment. From there, smoked paprika. That goes really well with pork. A light dusting over the tray. Now, it may look like a lot, but the flavor across this pork chop is delicious. Next, we've got the ancho chili powder. A little touch of coriander. And this powder's right, so easy to store. And then pepper. And all we do now is literally just get that chop. You can do this the night before and literally rub all that flavor in to your pork chop and let them sit overnight. Honestly, the actual color of the meat changes really nice and dark, and the flavor of that amazing smoked paprika, ancho chili, coriander, look, already it's starting to look amazing, right? Now, as that starts to sit, cast iron pan, touch of olive oil. Don't get that too hot, okay? Just roll that round, and then from there, literally get your chop, and then into the pan. Beautiful, really beautiful. Now, tilt the pan so it cooks the back of that fat, and immediately get your butter in there. That stops it from burning. How many times have we had a pork chop and it's got a really nice color on it, but then it goes dry? I'm gonna show you a really nice tip to stop your pork from going dry. The secret here is not to go too crazy with the color. Just literally open that up. And that butter stops those herbs from burning. But the fragrance on that pork chop now is delicious. You can just start to see where that pork is really starting to break down. If you can get this marinated the night before, or even a couple of hours before, the difference is night and day. And the beauty about cooking this pork chop on the bone is I'm determined to make sure this thing is cooked beautifully and incredibly moist. Now, from there, we've got a little bit of fresh thyme into the butter. And that's just gonna start toasting, again, another layer of flavor. Touch more butter in there, and look, beautiful, really beautiful. It's crisping up. The spice is doing its job, and I want this chop packed with flavor. Beautiful. Now, once we've got the color on that, I've got a little touch of stock, okay? Pour the stock in, and then get my lid and literally let that sit and cook nice and slowly. Turn down the gas. Now, we've got the color on the pork chop. The stock adds moisture to that pork chop. As the pork cooks, it absorbs that stock and it's really nice and juicy in the middle. Now, succotash, one of my favorites. Having spent such a long time in the US, if there's one thing I learned how to make was a really good succotash. The first thing with this corn, get it nicely seasoned. Just a little splash of olive oil, salt, pepper, and just get that toasting, literally on an open gas. And what we want to do now is literally char that corn, okay? And the secret of a really good succotash is in the ingredients. We've got a little butternut squash, red onion, some beautiful bell peppers, and a zucchini. First off, slice the onion. This is a rustic succotash. The nice thing about this is that it can be used 3 or 4 times. As it sits in the fridge, it just gets better and better in flavor. Now, that corn is roasting beautifully. And look at that pork, beautiful. Every 2 minutes, we're gonna turn that pork chop. I guarantee when we slice into the middle, it's gonna be really nice and moist. Right, turn that over. That flavor on that toasted corn, beautiful. And again with the pork in, turn that over, and let that sit and base. The stock is a really important part. If you haven't got stock, honestly, water's fine. It just adds moisture. But more importantly, it stops the pork from overcooking. Hot pan, onions in, here we go. Succotash. Now, get a really nice color on those onions. Take your box grater. I've peeled that hard skin of the butternut squash. I'm just gonna grate this. This is a really nice way of sort of bringing the succotash together. Gives it a little bit of a sort of rich creaminess. And grating really helps to cook this butternut squash very, very quickly. And the kids love it. And it's a really nice sort of extra veg that goes in to that succotash. Beautifully done. Lightly season it. Salt, pepper. And now we're going to start building those flavors. Corn is toasting beautifully. That's going to give that really nice charred flavor. Okay? To the naked eye, you think maybe it's a little burnt. It's not. It's char and really good flavor. Once those red onions start to melt down, start sprinkling in that butternut squash. Beautiful. Love that. Spread it out in the pan, get it really nice and crispy, and now we're going to start building those flavors. Next are going to be the peppers. First of all, just top and bottom. Stand it up, and then from there, just take your top of your knife and follow it all the way down. I like to cut around the seeds, and so we've got this nice, beautiful slice of pepper. Again, nice long strands in, and these nice chunky dice. For something like this, if you had more time, you could actually blister the peppers and literally dice the peppers the same way. Look at that pork. So beautiful. Now, start building the flavors of that succotash, keeping the heat nice and high, get rid of that water so the flavor's concentrated. You can turn that off there like that now and let that rest. The next pepper, same. Just a little slice off the bottom. Again, from the top, all the way around. Try not to go too deep. Again, and a nice large dice. So think about the flavors. The nice thing about the succotash, it can be done through winter, autumn, spring, or summer. I tend to lighten the flavors, especially in the spring. But the toasted corn is the secret. That's what really makes this. I'm gonna put the zucchini in last because that's the bit that doesn't really take much time to cook. Look at that, beautiful. So good, love it. That squash is now starting to melt down and literally almost act like a puree. Got my corn and my zucchini left now, beautiful. That looks beautiful. Zucchini, again, top and tail. Slice them lengthways. I like to go on the outside of the zucchini, so I've got all that nice, vibrant green. The inside's a little bit spongy, so no real flavor there. This is the flavor of the zucchini. I'm not a big fan of all the sort of seeds in the middle, but this really does add a really nice texture to that succotash. And then look, back together, bunch them up. I like the dice. It's a very good fit for when you're cooking chicken and pork, and so easy to do. In we go. And now, put a little teaspoon of minced garlic in. And now with my corn, slice that in half. And then literally just stand that up and take all those beautiful kernels off. And the smell and the flavor is amazing. Again, off, beautiful. I love cooking corn like this, especially for a salsa. Amazing. In. Now, just to bring that heat to the succotash, a little minced jalapeno, and they're just pureed and blitzed with the seeds. Depending on your excitement for heat, I love putting that in there, especially at the end, because it gives it that really nice sort of hot lift to the succotash. My cilantro, just sliced once, not chopped fine, and then sprinkle that over and in. And this is where we start to build those amazing flavors. My lime, take off the ends, and literally squeeze that fresh lime in there. So we start building that out now, and it goes really well. Nice thing about making succotash like this is that it sort of starts off a little pan, but honestly, just with those few vegetables, I've got 8, 9, 10 portions of this succotash, and it's quite a spicy one as well, which is lovely. But it just travels so far, and the yield is incredible. Beautiful. Rustic, delicious, and incredibly quick. Check the seasoning. Touch more salt. Touch more pepper. And then just bring that together with a little touch of olive oil at the end. Beautiful. With what started off with a few vegetables, look, I've got all this amazing goodness. And that's the nice thing about succotash. The next day, honestly, I've had spoons of succotash sat on top of sourdough bread with little chicken tenders to top that, and it is so delicious. And even warm or cold the next day, it offers you something unique. But it's the toasting of that corn that's the most exciting part. Now, for the plating. This thing sits incredibly natural, a nice, generous helping of succotash. I've let my pork chop cool down in the pan, rolled it round inside those juices a couple of times. I guarantee this pork chop is moist, delicious. I'm gonna take a couple of spoons of those cooking juices and literally just go over. And then as it rests with all that fragrance and all those herbs, the flavor is intense. And then just some fresh lime. And there we have a beautiful, delicious, roasted pork chop that you chose with the most amazing fragrant succotash. Now, thank you so much for watching Next Level Kitchen, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing videos.